Well, tomorrow marks 1 month to get your taxes filed. Of course, that deadline is April 15th this year. Nowadays, many opt to do their taxes online, which not everyone feels safe doing because of cyber thieves. Here to help us keep your information safe is Grayson Milbourne. He's the Security Intelligence Director at Webroot. Good morning, Grayson.
Hey, good morning.
So as you and I were kind of just talking the commercial break, with the popularity increase in websites like TurboTax, does this put people at a greater risk for being scammed?
Yeah, the reality is that the tax filing season is the second most active time for scamming that we see all year, followed by the Christmas or pre-holiday shopping season. So really now for the next several weeks, and including a couple weeks after the tax filing deadline, we tend to see a lot of different scams.
What are like some signs that people should be aware of? How are these scammers getting to people?
Yeah, so when you think about the IRS and the tax filing season, typically people fall into one of two categories. Either the IRS owes you money or you owe the IRS money, right? And unfortunately, what we see is scammers take advantage of both sides of that situation. And so in the scenario where you might owe the IRS money, what we see is a lot of calls that will come in that might be an email, it might be an SMS trying to get you to click on a link. It might even come directly as a voice-based call. And a lot of times these are scams. Like the IRS doesn't get in touch with you that way. They don't outsource to India their calls to collect money. And in a lot of cases, you might not even owe anything. It's just a fear-based scam. So be mindful of how if people are reaching out to you, that's always kind of a red flag. If the IRS is going to get in touch with you, they're likely to come through the email or through the regular snail mail. And then there's the scenario where the IRS owes you money. And here we see different types of scams that try to get you to either falsify your information, don't do tax fraud, right? Don't claim a W-2 that you didn't do the work for. But some of the more popular ones we've seen are some of the tax credits that existed during the pandemic, particularly one called the 7202 credit, which is for unemployed people who are working from home and taking maybe care of a loved one. And that tax credit ended in 2021. So you can't take it again in 2022. Okay. So be mindful that there's definitely a lot of scams that are looking to take advantage of this stressful time of year.
Yeah, I think something that's going to put a lot of people at ease is something you were telling me. This typically doesn't happen on websites like TurboTax. They kind of have their own built-in security, and on top of that, you can have that two-factor authentication that can really help protect your...
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, I think one of the easiest ways to avoid this mess is to go with a reputable tax filing firm. So TurboTax is a good software to do it. H&R Block, I'm not really affiliated with any of these things. But ultimately, right, like trustworthy sources are good. If you want to do it on your own, that's fine. But one thing that hackers are really good at is taking advantage of Google search engine results. And so I advise you just to go to irs.gov or go to your local government's website, and that's where you can submit your tax forms as well as finding those forms. If you go Googling around, you might find yourself in some place that you might not want to be. So.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe go with the bigger names that you already have heard of plenty of times, your friends are using, your neighbors are using.
Yeah. If you have a past history with them and it's worked well before, maybe it's a good idea to continue that relationship.
Awesome. Well, Grayson, we appreciate your help because we know that this can be a scary time for a lot of people.
Happy to be here to share the good information.
Tax isn't scary enough as it is. We don't need to make it any scarier.
True.
Grayson,
so,
we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.